Hello, everyone. We are now live. Hope everyone's doing well. I'll just go on here and I can see the chat. Hope everyone's doing well. I did invite John to the live. Should be going well. Hopefully it's all right. I think it's working okay. Hopefully it's working okay for John. There we go. Can't hear you yet, mate. Yeah, if you oh, there we go. Add to stream. There we go.
There we go. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good. So, how's things anyway?
Yeah, they're really, really good, mate. Thank you very much.
I've seen as you're in picture. Hang on, I'll move him over.
Yeah, he's behind me. There.
Very good.
Oh, good.
So yeah, so this is a neat little way of doing it.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice and simple as well, isn't it? Because you just click the link and then that's good.
Although I can't see chats now. Is there chats coming up on your side or anything?
I think if you yeah, the chat's come up, mate. We've got Kenny Rebel in at the moment, and who else? Doesn't really show me. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
Kenny's one of my nut jobs that does be on my side every Friday.
He's indeed.
Yeah. Right click on here. What happens? Oh, now I can see what's happening. There we go.
Yay. Okay, just bring up some note stuff. Here we go.
Are you not sweating in a windproof smock? No?
I'm actually all right. No, the heating's just gone off in here, so it's actually quite all right.
Oh,
it's the Parker, so it's actually all right. It's got the line and everything in as well, but no, I'm actually quite comfortable, actually, surprisingly. But I will. Just a minute. Off camera. There we go.
Oh, Jesus, you really sweated it. Roll call. Where is everyone? I have no idea, Kenny. I have no idea. This is Jake's baby tonight. We're all on his I don't know what's the word. Time schedule.
Roundabout.
I came prepared, so I didn't know what you wanted. So I brought tea, and I also have water.
Oh, good man. Yeah, I think we're going to do some sort of general questions kind of thing. Anyone who's watched, for the two people who are watching, so Kenny and whoever else, just Falklands questions tonight. I think that's fair, considering this is the Falklands Anniversary stream. But yeah, let's go full down.
Kenny has just said there with electricity bills, turn heating off, put on more smocks. Definitely in Ireland at the minute anyway, the price of why does my camera look lopsided?
Hey Joe, how you doing, mate? The full deputy dog, I think I'm going to go for. Yeah, good man.
The Jamaican
Rastapara, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Goose Green. But
no, the Goose Green.
But
oh dear.
Yes, price. It's literally. I have never seen diesel more expensive than petrol, and petrol now or diesel now is nearly €2 a liter, which is
crazy.
ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing well, Joe and Kenny. Anyway. good to see at least some people are in, and someone else I think as well. So hopefully,
I was just looking there on my phone. I just got an announcement that Mike came online as well. So I was like going,
yeah, but yeah, no. Steve and Danny have both said so they might not come on just during or watch just because of the Peaky Blinders on at 9 o'clock. So I was like, oh well, I see how it is.
yes, I know, and it is the last episode, so count yourself privileged that I'm here.
Yeah, that's what the record button was for.
Exactly. But yeah, so guys, we're about the Falklands. We're doing stuff about the Falklands. That Penguin War that happened in 1982 started on the 2nd of May.
Technically the first, but the night of the first anyway.
The night of it's debatable. The 1st and 2nd of May, 1982, and good old Margaret Thatcher then decided, nope, there are penguins and they're going to be our penguins. So she sent down the Commandos and the 5th Infantry Brigade and basically knocked spots out of the Argentinians for 10 weeks and came home, tea and medals, and everyone was happy. So if you have any questions to ask us about the Falklands conflict, work away.
Yeah, it was definitely a war about penguins because penguins are a vital ingredient making Guinness.
Yes,
you boil them up, and the white stuff floats to the top.
You put them in a blender.
Yeah.
Watch this now. We're going to get attacked by a load of save the whales. But yeah, so you put them into blenders and you mix them up, and the black stays to the bottom and the cream comes to the top. So that's basically how we get pints of Guinness. The Empire penguins are the better ones for doing that.
Just bringing up the stream on my phone actually, and then I can read the chat on there if I can. There we go. There we go. That's cool. Awesome.
So Kenny got a bike anyway, by the look of it.
Oh, he's recording Icarus file as well. That's going back a bit. Jesus.
Actually, I was thinking today when you asked me to come on stream and chat about the Falklands and stuff.
Yeah.
It's one of those conflicts that there is, like, you have an ungentlemanly act. You have Tumbledown. And there was another one about a guy that got knocked out and they thought he was a deserter and accused him of being a deserter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're the only 3 movies in relation to the Falklands conflict I can think of. I can think of tons for Iraq and Afghanistan.
There's one or two Argentinian made ones, but there's not many at all.
Yeah.
Considering it's the sort of type of war it was, it's quite astonishing. Really, there's not as much coverage as it should be, really, due to that. Like you've got jet aircraft firing cruise missiles at each other, and ships, etc. It's one of those odd kind of wars.
Yeah, really. But it's interesting too. Like for like the 40th anniversary, like the 40 years is a big milestone to get to. Like when you think of people's ages and stuff like that, when they get to 40, there's a big party and stuff like that. So I mean, 40 years since the conflict is a big milestone, and press-wise, like we say, like there's nothing's been on TV, like D-Day, Market Garden, big things like that, like World War II. For the run up before that, like you're Saving Private Ryan, you have The Longest Day, you have God only knows what other movies that they'll have on, and then there'll nearly be televised video of the cenotaph, televised video of the beaches of Normandy or whatever. And I'm not saying that there's there's no one, like, there is a need for that. There is a need for commemorating and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it just struck me that you have a significant war, for want of a better word, because it was a war, and it's completely slipped through the media. And I don't know if that's because of what's going on over across the pond, in Central Europe at the minute. Like we
Yeah.
have this thing going on as well about this thing going on as well, that they're cancelling reenactment events all over the UK because of what's happening.
It really doesn't make any sense why because it's mainly events that are with the whole sort of same organisation through like railway events mainly as well that have been doing this. It just seems like, why does doing a 1940s railway event have anything to do with what's happening in Ukraine at the moment? It's a bit strange. It's really a bit strange, but it's just one of the things. To Kenny's question, no, I haven't seen that one actually. Is it a newly made one or an older documentary they've just re-shown again?
There is a very, very good documentary about the Falklands. I'm not sure was it the BBC or Channel 4 that did it, but it's in 3 or 4 parts. Part 1 is the build-up, part 2 is the land war, and then I think it's 3 parts actually. Part 3 then is actually talking to the guys.
I've seen that. It's really good. It's a very
when
good
they
documentary.
came back.
Because they speak to the captain of the Belgrano as well.
Yeah.
On there,
Timeline have some very good documentaries as well. There's one about Tupara in when Colonel H was killed called Fixed Bayonets. There's a very good documentary about that as well.
Oh, the only first command of the SS has been. Oh, okay, interesting.
Must have a look at that one.
I think.
And is that on the old YouTubers, Kenny?
It'll probably be on Channel 4, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably do have phone, whatever what you might call it. Channel 4 player. It'll be on all 4, along with Big Bang and all the rest of those TV series that are on repeat on all 4 constantly.
I'm excited about this.
What is that? Oh, where did you get that book?
So I was up at Vickers Machine Gun Collection yesterday with Richard Fisher and that, and they're organising a commemorative thing to do with the 100th anniversary of the disbandment of the Machine Gun Corps down at Bisley. So I'll just say there'll be 16 Vickers machine guns, and they'll all be firing. So that's going to be fun.
We're going to do a mad minute.
Oh, a bit more than that if you fire in Vickers.
Derry Girls.
So, Derry Girls, I quite like it. It's all right.
It is what it is. It's like it's a comedy. It's a comedy. It's like Fat or Ted. Take your brain out and put it on the shelf and just enjoy. Like Machine Gun Corps, pretty cool. It's coming up on 400 years. Yes, it is, Joe. Getting back to the Falklands, actually, it was quite unusual that it is the two, like you had the both combatants faced off with each other with the exact same rifle, except one was semi-automatic and one was fully automatic. And there are reports as well of quartermasters after the Falklands getting Argentinian rifles handed into them, whereas guys would drop their issue rifles because it didn't have fully automatic and pick up an Argentinian one. So that was great fun. I bet you back in 40 and 4.5 Commando when they were being handed in fully automatic SLRs, going, where did you get that? Just never mind. Where's your one? Still in the South Atlantic.
True, true that as well. Yeah, 1922.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dismount of those as well. That is true. Yeah, I'll let you answer that one.
The old Irish regiments, yes, 1922. So you had the Leinster Regiment, the Munster Fusiliers, the Dublin Fusiliers, the Connacht Rangers, South Irish Horse. They still kept the North Irish Horse, which is actually still a yeomanry regiment now at the minute. But what they did was they actually also kept they kept the Royal Irish Regiment. They kept all the Enniskillen regiments because they were in Enniskillen, and they kept the Royal Ulster Rifles. So yeah, so you had the Munsters were disbanded, the Dublin Fusiliers were disbanded, the Leinsters were disbanded, and the Connacht Rangers were disbanded, which was a bit sad because those regiments had massive history, especially the Connacht Rangers. The Connacht Rangers went all the way back as far as Napoleonic Wars, and were a bit of a crack regiment actually in the British Army at one stage. Also mentioned in that famous TV series Sharp.
Indeed, yeah. When he's promised a crack regiment and he gets the South Essex.
Yeah. And Harper's like, we're getting the Connacht Rangers. Not quite.
Oh dear. Irish black as bog.
There's actually a very good film came out there a few years back. It's called Black 47.
Yeah.
And it's about Ireland during the famine.
Yeah.
And it's about a Connacht Ranger actually.
I started watching that. I only stopped because I had to go out, but it seemed quite good actually.
It is a good movie.
Barracks Documentary. Oh, we talk about the video you posted.
The Barracks Documentary on the Irish Army you showed looked shabby. Look shabby. How do you mean shabby? As
shoddy.
Shoddy. The barracks is back in the 70s. Some of them barely had roofs. So I mean, like it wasn't all bells and whistles that you see now, nice and shiny barracks back in the 70s and 80s. When I went in 98, there was huge amount of improvement going on in the military barracks. But yeah, when I first went in, we had 16 of us. Sorry, we had a lot more. 16 and 16. We had 32 of us in the one room because we were in bunk beds. You had 8 down one side on bunk beds and you had 8 down the other side on bunk beds. So you had 16 on either side. So yeah, so when you're living in confined quarters with 60 or with that amount of guys farting and snoring, you can tell how fun it is. But yeah, then after, I suppose around 2000, they started bunk beds became a health and safety issue. They couldn't have barracks with bunk beds anymore because guys were coming back drunk and falling off and hurting their backs, everything and anything. So bunk beds became a snowflake health and safety issue. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I imagine many of those men went into the Free State Army, but the traditions of those regiments obviously were preserved. You're talking about the disbandment of the regiments. They were actually offered. They were offered a choice. An awful lot of them. Some of them, the professional soldiers and the lifers, shall we say, the guys that were staying in. An awful lot of them went. Believe it or not, they went to the Argyll and Southern Highlanders. A lot of them went to the Irish Guards, and an awful lot of them went to the Irish regiments that were still in the Enniskillen regiments. You had the Enniskillen Dragoon Guards, you had the Enniskillen Fusiliers, you had the Irish Fusiliers, you had the Royal Ulster Rifles. So there was still an awful lot of Irish regiments, and a lot of them disbanded into that. But like in relation to the Free State Army, an awful lot of guys that like it goes beyond the foundation of the state. It goes back to 1913, even in the foreman of the Irish Volunteers. It's a huge broad spectrum of history. But yeah, an awful lot of guys coming back from France after the First World War did end up joining the IRA at that stage for the War of Independence, and then an awful lot of them after the War of Independence did end up joining the Free State Army. So you are correct in what you're saying, yeah. A fart and armpit cocktail. Yeah, when you have 32 guys in the one room, guess what? Yeah, it can get a bit ripe in there occasionally.
It's like the inside of a minicab. It just smells like him, the driver.
It can get a bit ripe from at certain times in there.
Just a bit, yeah. How you been today anyway, mate?
Good. Usual Sunday, relaxed day. Catholic Ireland, nothing's open. Everything is a family day.
Yeah, true.
Chill
How was
out.
your night shift?
I did go I went for a walk in the park with my dogs and family and stuff. But other than that, that's about it. Really.
How was your night shift?
Fantastic. I was like, because I got like, I was literally doing stuff here yesterday. The turbo went to my car.
Oh God!
I was fixing that, and I got a phone call. We're stuck. Like, because I've had COVID 4 months ago.
Yeah.
I had a mild case of COVID. So technically, at the moment, in Irish mentality, I'm okay for 6 months. I could catch a different strain of it or whatever, but I'm okay for 6 months. So I had the supervisor ringing me like going, we need people to come in quick because we have rampant COVID cases around the place. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll come in. And this was around lunchtime, so I'm thinking, I'll get the car fixed, everything will be sorted. 8 o'clock by the time I put the last bolt into the car, and I had to be at work at 10. So I was like, I got like 40 minutes sleep and then went in, and then 6 o'clock this morning when I left, I was like driving home like that with matchsticks. So.
Bloody hell. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to pose a question.
Never heard about the Argyles before. Yeah, there's actually Irish guys in the local cemetery near me. Commonwealth War Grave guys. They were Irish guys, but they're all Argyles. There's 3 or 4 of them. You have to remember too, the Celtic tradition, Scottish tradition, and Irish tradition are very similar. Like, if somebody was speaking Scots Gaelic, I can understand it to a certain degree, whereas they can understand somebody if they're speaking Irish Gaelic. It's not Irish or it's not Scottish, it's Gaelic. There's a difference. You have Irish Gaelic, Scots Gaelic, and then plus the island. There's an island there as well. And actually in Cornwall there's Gaelic as well. Just random fact for people. But as for the Welsh, they're a breed unto their own. No one can understand us or understand them, not even the Irish or the Scots. So.
Especially ones in Swansea, yeah. Oh God.
Actually, we had this big conversation there a few weeks back on one of my lives. I went over to a rugby match in Cardiff, and I travel up and down to the north the whole time. So I had English sterling, Northern Ireland sterling, but I had sterling in my pocket. I had about 120 pounds. So I said, yeah, no problem. Let's go to Cardiff. We'll go to the rugby match. I arrived over with my 120 quid or 150 quid or whatever it was, and no bloody shop would take it. I literally had to walk into like Barclays or Halifax or someplace, and your one literally went, Joe, what's the exchange rate for exchanging Northern Ireland pounds into Welsh pounds? She was like, oh, we'll just straight swap it. So I couldn't figure that out at all.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the same with Scottish pounds as well. Like, some people get funny down here as well with them, but they're completely legal tender.
Yeah.
So it's strange. Yeah, no, Joe. I'm not surprised really. I'm surprised it's not talked more about in the US actually, considering the US involvement in the way of negotiations prior to the task force heading down, and some bits they supplied the British and that, etc. So yeah, that was a surprise. Especially it's like one of the most major wars with like Western militaries in the 80s, really, as well.
Well, like I suppose Vietnam, it would have been, like, it was what, 20 years after Vietnam, 10 years after Vietnam.
Well, yeah, because the Vietnam sort of ended in roughly sort of fizzled out around 73, but obviously there were still guys there, some present there in 75 anyway. But yeah, no, it's strange. Obviously, you got the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, which is going on at this point. But yeah, no, it's really, really bizarre. Because you've got two.
Well, like it was. I suppose it was the first time that England openly got involved. Okay, they had stuff in Aden, and they had stuff in Malaya, and they had stuff in Aden and Cyprus and things like that. But it was the first openly conflict that they've sent troops into, was the Falklands.
Because all those others were basically counterinsurgency operations.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was similar to it in the way of like naval deployment was Suez, and that was a fucking debacle, or debacle even. But yeah, so this is sort of the first major deployment of British troops and ships, etc., to an actual fighting war, not like just going to Germany to keep an eye on the border, but no. When you're facing up against another nation which has quite a large fleet, filled with modern destroyers and aircraft carrying that as well. So,
but like, people don't realize how close England came to losing that conflict or that war. Like at that stage, the Ministry for Defence and all that had ripped, or not so much the Ministry for Defence. They were trying to do what they could, but Whitehall and the House of Commons and the House of Lords had ripped apart the British Army at that stage, and the Navy was one of them. Like they were talking about selling their aircraft carriers and selling their submarines and stripping the Navy. And it wasn't until after the Falklands conflict that the government basically realized, hang on a second, we need to invest in our army, not strip it.
Exactly.
And then you say, like after the Falklands, you see the 84 pattern, or the Soldier 84, or because it was literally a complete massive overhaul in equipment, down to guys' boots, underwear, everything was changed. Their jackets, their pantses, their webbing, their boots, their helmets. Literally after from the Falklands all the way up until the start of the Second Gulf War, when they went back into Iraq and Afghanistan, and then later Afghanistan, line of the British Army soldier.
Oh, I think
or after. Huh?
I think your internet's gone a bit strange. Oh, there we go. I think we're back. You good?
But yeah, I'm good. But yeah, after the Falklands conflict, there was definite massive changes went into the military. We start answering some of these questions.
L1A1, I don't think so.
The Falklands ain't not something we know much about this part of the world. What part of the world would that be, Joe?
Oh, he's from the States.
All right, makes sense. I'm from Newfoundland. A lot of Irish Newfoundland, actually, as well. What happened to the Amtrak left after the Falklands War? I believe the Imperial War Museum got a rake of stuff after the Falklands conflict.
Wouldn't
Whatever
be
happened to the
surprised.
Amtrak?
And a couple of
Whatever happened to
the armored cars as well.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to the Amtrak anyway. Sorry about anything America's government screwed up with the people. Don't have much to say in it. In relation to the Falklands stuff, anyway, wasn't there a big? The Americans were trying to, because the Americans were backing the allies of both. They were allies of the Argentinians and allies of the Brits, the British, and they were trying to stop the conflict. But we all know how Maggie felt about war and stuff like that. So she wasn't going to sit back and take anything. She was adamant she was sending in troops. So. There you go.
Yeah, no, Todd, you're actually with the Iran-Iraq war. Yeah, I think in the way of like largest land war going on, but I think in way of like logistically naval power and modern air power, definitely the Falklands. But yeah, no, in the size of like biggest conventional war conflict at the time, definitely the Iran-Iraq war for ground offensives anyway.
Oh, Andrew, hello. Sorry, there's one of my subscribers. I didn't see him sneak in there. Hello, Andrew.
How you doing, mate? An understanding of how you guys kind of equipped. It was the first modern conflict where that happened. Yeah, for quite a while. It's answering Joe's question basically. You've got cruise missiles and very modern fighter aircraft from flying off of carriers and God knows what else. You got up until recently, you got one of the longest bombing raids in history with the Blackback raid. But yeah, but I don't. The second question you put though, Joe, I don't know how true. I've heard you guys ran out of L1A1s to point you guys to borrow them from people. No, I think generally small arms wise, we were actually fairly well equipped. So
the soldiers, Joe, in weapons wise and stuff like that. What actually happened was there was such a rush to arm the guys. They literally loaded everything into a cargo ship and headed. I think it was 5 weeks sailing from England, from Portsmouth to
about 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah. They were actually using helicopters on the way down to try and logistically, because it was literally there's a ship, there's a box, put box on ship, and figure it out later. So ammunition, weapons, anti-tank rockets, 0.5 heavy machine guns were scattered all over the bloody convoy, and they had to use helicopters and boats to try and figure it out. So if that's what you mean about a shortage of rifles, but every soldier actually left England with his rifle, and his rifle came with him the whole way down to the South Atlantic. So every soldier had a rifle. But the logistics side of it, ammunition, bits and pieces like that, was up in the air for a while until they got it all figured out on the way down.
Yeah, you just but yeah, it sounded kind of sus. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Where did you hear that from anyway, Joe? That's fun. That's cool. But no, as John was saying, yeah, logistics wise, it was a nightmare, but they managed to get it. They managed to do it, which is the astounding thing, considering with the amount of men, material, and equipment in general. You're transporting 8,000 miles down to the South Atlantic, and you're organizing it within the space of literally less than a week. You're converting civilian ships to basically be kind of ready for war and strapping GPMGs and God knows what else to every inch of deck space, just in case of air attack, especially that when they got down to San Carlos Bay, you're literally, it's all hands to stations really at that point.
But at that stage too, logistic wise, in relation to ammunition, for the general soldier was a lot easier because your SLR was 7.62, Your
Exactly.
GP&P was 7.62. The brain conversions were 7.62. So you only had two different types of ammunition to worry about. One was 9mm for pistols, and the other was 7.62 rounds for everything else.
Exactly. It's just when you get into like you got you're having like transport anti-tank stuff down, because the use of 66 and 88mm rockets was actually quite prevalent, especially in the fighting among the mountains. But when you're considering like every other thing from like anti-air and all that kind of equipment, just getting down there, it's a bit of a nightmare.
Where have we gone? The Argentinians were mostly conscripts and didn't want to be there.
Yes and no.
This is the illusion that they were mostly conscripts. Yes, there were a lot of conscripts there, but you had massive regular professional soldiers as well in the Argentinian army, and that's why the fighting outside of Stanley was so hard. And as they started coming back towards Stanley, the fighting got a bit easier. But say Tumbledown, they were a professional unit. They were Marines. Goose Green, I think, were professionals as well. I think they were professional soldiers.
It was a bit of a mix at Goose Green, because they'd been bolstered with reinforcements prior to the two para attacking at Goose Green.
Yeah.
But
what the Argentinians basically did was they had different levels of strategic lines. So you had conscripts, professionals, conscripts, professionals, conscripts, professionals. So you're fighting along and you think, the fighting here isn't too bad, and the next thing you run into a professional line and it's a slugging match. And they retreat or whatever, or you run through that engagement and you meet the second line and it's conscripts again, and you have the illusion in your head going, the fighting isn't too bad here again. And the next thing, maybe we're winning, and the next thing, slap bang, you come into the next line again of professional guys, and it plays with your head. It does play with soldiers' heads.
Definitely, yeah, because when you consider like they got the first Argentinians to land on the islands back on like the 1st, 2nd of April, are Argentine Marines and Commandos, who then take on the Royal Marines, and they're professionals. They know what they're doing, and they've got the support of armor, especially when the Amtraks begin to land just north of the airfield. That's what sort of turned the tide very, very quickly in favor of the Argentinians, just because of numbers and logistics wise. But then you've also got the case of what doesn't. I think when you talk about the Falklands War in general as well, what doesn't get covered as much, but it should have really, is what happens in South Georgia. For example, like with the very successful retaking of South Georgia, with the attack on the Santa Fe in Grytviken Harbor, and basically the entire garrison surrendering really without any casualties to our side, really, which is yes, there were failed SAS landings in helicopter, but that was due to the weather.
Like you have to realize too, like this conflict, it wasn't just about how tough the Argentinians were. I mean, the lads' conditions down there were bloody atrocious.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Between wet and cold, and you're walking on sponge. I don't know if any of you have, like, the Falklands is made up of peat bog. So I mean, like, I don't know if any of you have ever walked on peat bog. Is you're dry, you're wet, and the next thing you're in a hole up to your neck. It's and to try and fight in those conditions, and to stay out and not live indoors or stay outside in the elements for 10 weeks. Like, you have to remember the Royal Marines 40 Commando, 4-2 Commando, and 1 and 2 Para, the lads that had made the initial landings in Carlos, or in Port, in what's the name of the proper name of it? The initial landings anyway. By the time those lads got to Stanley, they'd been 10 weeks in the open. That's why 5th Infantry Brigade was brought in, was to try and replace these guys. And it just so happened, as 5th Infantry Brigade was being brought up, the Commandos and the Paras kept on fighting into Stanley. And I don't think bar Scots Guards and Tumbledown, I don't think any of 5th Infantry Brigade really had a big battle. I'm not sure.
There were remnants. There were remnants of the Welsh Guards who joined several of the. Well, they basically joined alongside with some of Third Commander Brigade.
Yeah.
And the Gurkhas basically moved into a defensive position. I think around. Maybe it was. I'm trying to remember the name of the. I think after Wallace Ridge. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to double check. But they didn't really get into much combat, really.
But I've read stories of Gurkhas crying because they didn't get into
Yeah. The footage of the officer that comes out and says the white flag's flying over Stanley. He's a Gurkha officer, and he's talking to his men afterwards, and they're quite annoyed that they don't get the fight. So, if you watch the whole footage, it's quite interesting, really. Yeah, they were a disappointed Todd. Oh, that's cool, Kenny. That's cool. Yeah, lots of equipment was lost on the Atlantic Conveyor when it was hit by an exit, which originally was meant for the main bulk of the task force.
Well, like the issue with the Arctic Conveyor was all the Chinooks went down on it. Well, bar one.
Yeah. And thankfully, they managed to get the Harriers that were on it off previously anyway. So,
there was a couple of blunders as well as Arctic Conveyor being one. I mean, you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
And also the BBC broadcasting that 2 Para were moving towards Goose Green as well.
Yeah.
Which they'd heard on the radio as well and was like, well, that's fun.
But I mean, like that, it just goes to prove. I mean, look at what's happening over in Europe now at the minute. Okay, you have all these multimedia sources. You have TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all these type of things or whatever. They're all, I guarantee you, 100%, they're all being monitored by whatever security analysts or whatever security agencies, either in Ivanland or in Ukraine. And they have been proven, and they have shown that that cargo ship that the Russians had a big, huge media piece about. Oh, look, it's coming into Mariupol, and we're so happy, and it's going to bring troops and stuff. And then you have the Ukrainians going, "Thank you for giving us the grid reference. Fire some rockets at that." They're like, you know, and that happened in the Falklands as well, where you had the BBC going on about 2 Para are moving, advancing towards Goose Green and Tumbledown and all these other areas, and them getting mashed by Argentinians.
And I think it come from the defence office as well, for them to allow the BBC to broadcast that, and they're just thinking, and I think it was either H. Jones or it was one of the other company commanders who basically said, if any of my men get killed because of that now, he will personally launch a lawsuit against them or something. It was not those sort of lines, which I'm not surprised.
Well, there's conspiracy theories about H. Jones as well being accidentally killed. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what happens unless they're there.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. What other questions we got? Definitely, Joe. Definitely. Got my up here as well. The same people try to disarm the Western world with fuel and grains. Yeah, true. It's always the case.
Some soldiers did take G3s off Argentinians because they were fully auto. Yes, there are accounts of British soldiers picking up Argentinian FNs.
Yeah.
There's
I've heard it's a bit hit and miss with those sort of ones, because obviously, like, logistically, ammunition wise, it's the same.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you're using, say, you're carrying already L1A1 magazines, you can't use them in G3s or the Argentine FALs. But I don't know.
They'd work in the FALs, but I don't know about the G3s. I don't know about the G3s.
Well, it's because one's an inch pattern, one's a metric, so they wouldn't fit the same magazines as far as I'm aware. But
one way to find out.
Oh, careful! We might get the stream pulled.
No, the G3 will definitely not go into the.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think maybe as a brief thing, picking it up to use whatever ammunition was in it. Probably, absolutely, Kenny. But I think the stories of guys using it throughout, like, the campaign, are probably not sensible, really, because obviously, if you get rid of your rifle, that rifle's thing to you, you're going to get chewed out completely by the time you get back to any superior commander, really. That's with any bit of kit, really, especially if it's your service rifle.
Well, I know from Northern Ireland at the time, the SAS were armed with their own G3 variant.
Yeah.
At that moment in time, the SAS had 3 main rifles that they were using. They were using the SLR, they were using this G3 variant that they had, and they were also using M16s.
Yeah.
So unless it's one of those guys picking one up, but I doubt very much. They probably picked up magazines and stuff like that and worked away with the magazines, but I don't know if they picked up complete rifles.
Yeah. Although I think if you want to sort of with more different stuff, absolutely, guys using like the L4 mags, absolutely, in L1A1s, like, everyone likes another 10 rounds. So
yeah. Now I do know that some of the Commandos, definitely, with logistics problems prior to heading to the Falklands, raided every camping shop, sports shop, and army surplus that they could find on the way to Portsmouth. And the backpacks was a famous one. Boots was another famous one that they would wear civilian hiking boots.
Indeed. Basically, exactly like this. So we've got a Carramore Jaguar 4. So things like that. I think Silverman's got emptied of everything they had. Along with everything you can think of from Bergen.
And I know H. Jones as well. Before they left for Argentina, they went into their reserve regiments and TA regiments companies and took the GPMGs. So every section actually in Para, was he 2 para? He was 2 para.
2 para.
Every section in his company in 2 para had 2 GPMGs per section. I think the number 2 scout had a GPMG, and then it had its own GPMG section as well. And so that's some amount of firepower per section, you know.
Extreme amount of firepower.
Yeah. Logistics make or break an army. Look at the mess America's small arms are in as a civilian population. We have had near a 3-year shortage now, and it has caused massive panic. I suppose America would be the only country that I know of that it's written in their constitution that they have the right to bear arms, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's the one I think you just read. Yeah.
Yeah. I have fired 35mm Arctic shell captured anti-tank from the Falklands. Oh, class, Kenny. Gurkhas.
Oh, sorry, just a minute. I'll put up this one. So with the Royal Marines, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Not so much the Paras.
No, Paris had the General or the GPMG or the Gimpy.
Yeah. There were a few L4 Brens within 2 and 3 Para, but mainly the bulk were within 4-5 Commando, etc.
A little fact now: the Marines are actually going to probably kill me for announcing to say, but the Marines aren't actually part of the Army; they're part of the Navy. So their funding and their equipment and their budgeting is actually from the Navy. It's not from the Army. So that's why you see, even today, you see the Marines with their own gear. They might have Gucci gear compared to, or Ali gear, as it's called in England, compared to the British Army, because they have their own budgeting and their own power to purchase and spend.
That's why they were able to get like probably the best boots down there in the down there in South Atlantic. Like the
you have to remember too with the Commandos, the Royal Marine Commandos, and the vast majority of them were Arctic trained.
Exactly.
They'd spend multiple winters in Norway, so they had on issue compared to the Paras and compared to any of the other regiments. They were more equipped for the conditions that they were being sent to than pretty much any of the other units being sent to the Falklands.
Absolutely, yeah, because they basically had like a small budget. Well, we'll say a small budget, a fairly decent budget to buy whatever kit they wanted, really. And got
they had it going for them in different ways. Whereas they had the Royal Marines had their own budget from the Navy. Then each battalion had their own budget. Then each company had their own budget, and to a certain degree, each platoon had their own budget. So, like, there are recorded cases of platoon sergeants walking into Silverman's or walking into whatever hiking shop and going, I need 32 pairs of hiking boots in these sizes, and there's the money, and walking back out the door, like, you know.
Just saw that one.
Which one? I've noticed going, Jesus isn't mag dumping as much.
Yeah, brass is ammunition is getting very expensive.
It is getting very, very expensive.
I think because like 303 in the UK at the moment, as far as I'm aware, is about £2 or more around now, which is crazy considering.
Per round?
Yeah, per round.
That's ridiculous.
Obviously depending on where you go, but as a general thing, yeah. So.
Sorry, I'm just answering questions here as well myself.
Oh, cheers, Todd, for subscribing. Appreciate that, mate.
No. So you put up whatever questions there you find interesting, and
yeah. Here we go. Not particularly playing a role. They most of them just stayed in Stanley for most of the war. Really, I think that's the M19 you're on about. The armored cars. I think that's what they are.
Yeah, M90 is like a little armored car. We have to remember too, like the Blues and Royals came over with their no, they weren't Saracens. What were they?
Scimitars and
Scimitars.
Scorpions.
Yeah, like and the AML 90 was that like AML 90 going up against a Scimitar. Yeah, no, not a hope. Bye bye. Best of luck. Call again. You know, so I think the AML 90 crews knew themselves were like, yeah, there's no point in this. Let's just sit back here and drink tea and smoke cigarettes until
like the M1s. They had a good gun. I think they had about I think it was a light 90 mil, but they were wheeled, and considering how the Falklands were, they could literally not exit Stanley. They would get bogged down very, very quickly.
Oh, but that's it. Like, I mean, even the Amtrak had awful trouble. They pretty much stayed in Stanley as well. Like,
exactly. 233, you can find something like $2 around. Oh, fair enough. Then gain or loss from the Falklands. What was the end result in a lessons learned context?
So out of everything gained or lost from the Falklands, what was the end result in the lessons learned in context? Care and maintenance for the soldiers. As we touched on earlier on, everything in the British Army was changed after they came back from Falklands. Uniforms, backpacks, webbing, helmets, boots. Logistically, there was massive changes done. There was medical changes done. It was a massive restructure for the British Army after they got back from the Falklands. It was basically a big kick in the arse because they had been cut and cut and cut and cut, and the government realised, okay, well, we need to start pumping money back into these lads. So, like, you see, everything changes. They went from an ankle boot, which was the DMS boot, the direct molded sole boot, to the British Army Combat High boot, which is them. So they went from a boot which was this tall to a full length boot. Hang on, where's my camera? There we go. So they went from a boot that was that tall to a full length boot. Obviously, if you're walking over mud and dirt and boggy terrain, they'll keep your feet a lot drier and a lot better than
Also, with the replacement of, well, gradually with the introduction of the Mark 6 helmet as well, replacing steel ones. So
yeah. Like the Mark 6 helmets came fairly rapid after the Falklands. I heard somewhere that the Canadian Airborne Regiment, which was Arctic trained, was placed on standby for possible deployment. Might be still interesting of true. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's true. That is very interesting, but I'm not too sure. I haven't really heard that before.
Yeah. Like the thing about other countries getting involved, I don't want to keep harking back to it, but look at Ukraine. Okay, if other countries get involved by sending troops or by sending whatever, where is it going? That's an escalation. So if the Canadians had sent troops to the Falklands, if whoever else is in the Commonwealth, the Australians had sent troops, which they possibly could have, because they're still part of the Commonwealth. So, like, I'm not sure how their treaties work, but going back to the First World War, Second World War, Canadians fought under their own flag, but also fought under the British flag. Australians fought under their own flag, but also fought under the British flag. So that is a huge escalation if you send troops into a battle. I think I have a British duffel from that era. It has 4 brass grommets, 1 strap, and no zips. Love the thing. Oh,
yeah, mine's over there somewhere. I know they're great. Yeah, any other questions at all? Please feel free to go ahead and ask.
If we don't know the answers, we'll make them up.
That's what we've been doing so far, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Right, let me see.
Great for pillow fights. Those kickbacks.
Oh,
Geez, we've been on an hour already. Where has the time gone?
it's gone really quick actually. It's not been too bad. Oh dear. Anyone want to see like any kit or whatever, or we can go through some of that if we whatever.
Falklands era kit.
Both of us have released very, very recent videos on that.
Yes. It's one of those strange. Oh, hang on, we have a question. So, wasn't there something about a British ship sunk during this? I smell it. There was 6 ships. There was the Sheffield. Hang on.
I'll have to check.
There was the Sheffield, the Ardent, the Antelope, the Coventry, the Arctic Conveyor, and
Glamorgan? Not Glamorgan.
no, the Sir something or other, wasn't it?
Galahad. Oh, Sir Galahad.
Yes. No. Jake is googling because he doesn't believe me.
No. I'm just looking at general sort of casualties as well. What certain ships were hit in that as well. Like there were casualties suffered on Ardent and Coventry and Glamorgan as well.
And the Sheffield lost. Sheffield lost 20, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. Same with Coventry and Ardent. And obviously, Sir Galahad was at Bluff Cove with Infantry Brigade with that bloody disaster.
But that was another. The Sir Galahad was another issue with officers not listening to other officers that had more experience and logistics as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a big logistics letdown. If you have a Marine officer telling you, get off the boat, you are a big bloody target, and you have another officer going, no, this is not our destination, we're staying on the boat.
Because it was a whole thing because they were meant to disembark at night, and then due to delays, it was broad bloody daylight when they started to disembark.
Yeah,
and even then, it wasn't. Yeah.
But like the officers were arguing amongst themselves. The Marines wanted them off the boat. They didn't care. They would have taken them in and off all day. And you're on a big grey bloody hulk in the middle of a harbour with no protection, no nothing. Get off the bloody boat. And they were only 200 or 300 yards from the shore, so it wasn't. They reckoned that they would have had them all off within 20 minutes.
Exactly.
So yeah, another blunder. Yes, they were, Kenny. They were Welsh guards. There was a famous guy actually. He wasn't famous then. He became famous. He was a Welsh guardsman. He got badly burnt in that, but he became a big ambassador for the British Legion and for what's the name of the rehabilitation hospital in England for the soldiers?
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, I can't think of it. It'll pop into my head anyway in a minute. But he became a sort of a big ambassador for them. He was a famous character. He was in a few documentaries, and unfortunately, the poor man had to go through like 17 or 18 surgeries. Yeah, he was that badly burnt.
Five watching so far, I think, or 4 on here.
Oh, well. We'll give it another few minutes and we'll head off, if you don't mind, Jack. Some
Yeah,
of us
no,
have to do
absolutely.
a thing called work in the morning.
I have two.
Yeah.
No, I'm on an early shift tomorrow, so yeah. So I think I did invite Steve and Danny actually, if they want to jump in.
We can if you want.
See if they want to pop in or whatever, or something like that.
Peaky Blinders is over now. No, Peaky Blinders is still on, sure. It's a 90-minute special this week.
Oh, bloody hell. Of course it is. Of course it is. No wonder they didn't reply. Bloody hell. Bloody hell.
What about your Canadian buddy? It's probably too early for him.
He's on another live stream at the moment with someone else. So yeah. I did invite him, but yeah, he's busy.
I sure enjoyed the stream. It's always a fun time. Very good.
Cheers, Joe. Appreciate it.
It's explained in the C4 documentary. What's explained, Kenny, in the C4 documentary?
Oh, I'm guessing the attack on Sir Galahad, I think.
Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to Peaky Blinders season 6. Isn't this last season though?
Yeah, this is season 6, I think, because it hasn't aired in the US yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I apologize to our Yankee Doodle friends. I'm sorry. I'm Irish. We barely have electricity.
Yeah, it's run off potatoes. You keep having to replace them.
Yeah. No, we only have electricity from Monday to Friday because we have a guy on a bicycle and he cycles it, and he creates power with a dynamo. And then at the weekends, we have to give him the weekend off. Like by law, you have to have 2 days off a week. So yeah, so he's back on shift again now, being Sunday evening. So he's pedaling away mad now. I'm Irish. Snowflakes in the chat there. I'm Irish. I'm allowed to slag myself. It is okay.
It's an Irish and British tradition, self-deprecation.
Yes. Change your VPN and watch iPlayer. No. I'm lucky that I can press like buttons and stuff works for me. Never mind changing things like that.
About 300 years back.
Yeah. But like it's funny if you ever go to the States, right? Ellis Island, where is like their main port back in the day when they had
New
Irish,
York, yeah.
when you had Irish immigrants going to America, and you had a lad walk in and his name was O'Shaughnessy, and you have a guy sitting behind a desk in Ellis Island that can barely read and write himself, and you're like, what's your name? Tomas O'Shaughnessy. So you were Tom Smith. So, and but that's what happened. That's how an awful lot of guys got their name changed, and especially Irish names ended up with their anglicized names or their Americanized names. What are you doing?
What?
What are you doing?
I was just looking at there's a channel called Historiograph. Really, really good channel actually. Does some really, really good stuff. He's releasing like a sort of like a short series in the Falklands at the moment. But other ones of his videos are very good as well. It's very worth going into.
I'm built by the same firm that built Stonehenge.
God. Oh dear. But yeah, it's going good. Welcome to riveting streams.
Well, no, it was a good stream. No, in fairness,
Yeah. Hope everyone's good though. I know it's getting a bit late, but we'll go for a little bit longer, and I'll go for a little bit longer. However, John can go for because he's got to go to work in the morning.
Jack is trying to find his buddies to.
Please join me. Please be friends.
Please, sir, jump on my live.
I wear my nice hat to attract you all.
You look like a man out of Looney Tunes. What was the hunter in it? All they're missing is a shotgun.
There you go.
That's the one. I thought I seen a rabbit.
We're hunting Argentinians. Dear Lord.
Well, this is actually a good way to do the stream.
Yeah, because it's great. Because I think now you've been on it, it should now
recognize me.
Yeah, because if you're logged into your Google with the browser and that, it should thing your thing. And literally, I just did it like I was doing a live stream through YouTube. Just do the broadcast. You enter what time you're on, and then it will say in the corner once you start, like it's scheduled, and then you got the go live button in the corner, and you click that, and you're on. It's nice and straightforward. I just wish I knew about this like months ago. I could have had live streams with other people months ago.
Yeah.
It's great.
Right, guys, if you're not going to ask any more questions, some of us have to go to sleep because some of us have work at stupid o'clock in the morning.
But Kenny says you got a pretty mouth, boy.
How's the Julian banjos?
You look pretty good for a sister.
Jesus. I'm going. On that note, I'm going. All right, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you all again. Okay.
See you later,
I will
John.
see you next Friday. Thursday.
Absolutely.
Friday,
see you next Friday, yeah.
Yeah. Have a good one. If any of you don't know what we're talking about, we will be at the Living History UK Festival on April 8th and 9th. Yes, at the Chiltern Open Air Museum. Drop by and say hello.
You said Chiltern correctly.
I think there are some tickets around the place.
Yeah, somewhere. I think there's some left. And I'm glad you said Chiltern correctly for the first time in how long?
I know, yeah. English giving things strange names.
Well, like Galway and God knows what. Like
Galway is a good name, and in Irish it's Ungoliv. So it's like how can you not pronounce Ungoliv? Okay, that you had to go Galway. It's Galway.
It sounds like you got a speech impediment while saying I have a glove.
Ungoliv. And actually, in Irish there's no word for glove. It is a hand sock. All right.
That just sounds sexual.
Yeah. I'm going. Good luck. I'll talk to you
later. Have a hand sock.
Go on. See you later.
See you later, mate. Have a good one. Oh, well, that was good. No, I hope you enjoyed John coming on. It was great. Yeah. Any more questions at all? I'm happy to answer. Absolutely happy to answer. Hopefully, we'll have someone else pop on soon. It's Thanksgiving now. Fucking hell. No. But no, any more questions related to obviously the Falklands? I'm happy to answer if I can. I'm definitely not the end all and all with questions about the Falklands because I'm no expert on the conflict. I'm really not. Kit wise is where I'm mostly at. Mostly anyway. But I'll see if I can get someone else on it if they would like to pop on, possibly. Give it a go, shan't we? Let me just see if anyone else is available. How's everyone doing anyway? Up to much? Or got anything else going? Any new things you got? Like to know. Or if you'd like to share anyway. I hope you're all doing well anyway. We'll go for a little bit longer and then I think we'll wrap up anyway. Yeah. So also obviously the video released was it Monday? Or the video released the other day basically about the Falklands. Yesterday I think it went up. I hope everyone enjoyed that. And then obviously that's part one of sort of a multi-part series I'll be doing on that. What's going on? Just grabbing dinner while stream. Fair enough, mate. Yeah, so that's the first part in a short series. Sort of still in the planning stage of getting the next one together. Obviously, because the war goes on for several weeks, more weeks now, and the land campaign hasn't even started yet. It's only just the invasion that's just begun really well 40 years ago today. Well, a couple of days ago anyway. And also, I'm trying to get stuff ready for next weekend for Living History Festival, as we spoke about a minute ago. So that's all fun. Been trying to get my talk together this weekend, so it's a bit daunting, really, because I've got to do 2 talks, only half an hour of time during the event, though. So I'm very much looking forward to it, but also petrified as well. So it's one thing doing a live stream, but it's another thing talking in front of 30 odd people that are actually in front of me. So it's like, yeah. So but yeah, no, it should be good. It should really be good. But I'll hopefully be doing maybe a TikTok live stream, possibly from the festival, or even some videos and that. And we should hopefully be doing a podcast episode as well from the event, which would be great. But yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. Look forward to it, and no, it should be fun. Should be fun. Okay, we'll see if we can get. I'll see if I can get anyone in. If we can, then we'll stay on for a bit longer. If not, then we'll wrap up anyway. So give me 2 ticks, and I'll see what I can do. Do. Well, we'll see for a bit. We'll wait until. Yeah, actually, yeah. No, it's on it. We'll go until 25 past, and then we'll wrap up. I think that's fair. Yeah, I do hope so, Kenny. I really do. It's one of those things, because the topic is Operation Sea Lion. So I know a lot off the top of my head, roughly anyway, in regards to the general thing of it, and also with what would have happened if the invasion had actually taken place. That I know a lot. It's some of the other background stuff, which a bit, but I think that's what I'm going to sort of focus on is Sea Lion if it happened. So I think that would probably be the best thing to go with, because that I know it quite fairly in depth, and what was sort of the rough outcome of what would have happened if it had gone ahead, which is what really fascinates me. It's sort of that alternate history, but also like what was planned, what was seen, and another reason why even the Germans were like, yeah, this isn't a good idea. Like it's an absolutely terrible idea. There's this whole perpetuating thing of the Germans will be marching down Whitehall within 2 weeks and all this sort of stuff. It's complete nonsense. There's this thing about the entirety of the British Army had lost all of their equipment in France. Like, bear in mind there were 2 armored divisions still in the UK at this point, as well as most of quite a large bulk of the territorial force, and still a bunch of regulars as well, as well as all those who were already in training by 1940, who joined up at the beginning of the war. So yeah, and obviously remember the war started in September. By the invasion of France in May, sort of April, May 1940. Yeah, the British Army was still growing, and obviously you have the local defence volunteers, later the Home Guard, who had already been formed as well by the time of the German invasion of France. So yeah, you have a large proportion of you have a massive amount of men and women under arms in the United Kingdom by the time of the suspected and planned invasion of Britain. So, as well as all the fortifications, but yeah. But that's beside the point. That's not really for this podcast. live stream, I should say, even. Hi, Tom. I'm good. How's you? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm good anyway. Just saying, trying to get ready for next weekend for the festival, so that's been fun. But welcome to the Falklands Anniversary podcast. I keep saying podcast live stream. Hope you're doing well, and hope everyone's keeping safe, especially with everything cool going on. And yeah, just one of those things, isn't it? The world is 2020 to 2022 has been a bit of a shit a couple of years, really, isn't it? For everyone involved, but you know, such is life. But yeah. Yeah, so no, I think as we were speaking about earlier on in the stream, me and John, before we had to go, the Falklands, there's not as much coverage as say everything else, really. Even say the war in Afghan, and even the first Gulf War, and the anniversary of Granby was last year. Like, there was much more coverage than there is for this. Obviously, yes, because there's a sort of because obviously what you've got going on in Europe at the moment, people are a bit hesitant to talk about war and all this sort of thing, even though it's a good example actually of similarities between the Falklands and Ukraine. Really, you've got a nation which claims that territory is theirs and uses force to take it over, etc. Obviously, not exactly correct and similar, but it has its similarities, like with most wars, really. And it shows that aggression isn't always the way to go. Well, is not really the way to go at all, really. But that's just beside the point. Any other questions at all? Falklands related? We'll see if we can get through. Even, well, any other questions really as well. We might as well. We're not going to be on for much longer. See what we can do. But yeah, no. As I said, I hope to have at least a video or so out before the festival. Hopefully this week. One or two little things I'm going to be focusing on. I'll have the second part of the web equipment as well coming out soon. Yeah, yeah. It was very much preventable. It was very much preventable, but it's a fascinating topic as well, because you've got like the first major sort of modern conflict really in that sort of period. You've got cruise missiles and modern fighter aircraft and carriers, etc., being used. But also, as a contrast to that, you got what the fighting was like around the mountains around Port Stanley. You've got guys who are fighting hand to hand with bayonets, etc. It's one of those things. It's crazy. That's what makes it such an interesting topic to research and talk about, really. But yeah. Yeah, it's a shame as well. In the way of so Peaky Blinders is on at the moment, so that's probably keeping one or two people away, which is a shame. But hopefully they'll be on soon anyway. But as I said, yeah, exactly. It would have been even great if it hadn't been, say, for the actions of HMS Conqueror sinking the Belgrano, which, yes, I know it's controversial. But, however, the question was even answered by the captain of the Belgrano. His orders were to attack and encircle the British fleet, was to sink the British fleet wherever he found it. So, just one of those things. I think I've just got a message from someone. Just messaging. Cool. yeah, as I was saying, HMS Conqueror sank Belgrano, and it was necessary. Belgrano was ordered to attack the task force, and they were doing a pincer movement. It keeps getting debated, but it was definitely gonna. That was his orders to do. Let's get messages again. Exactly the same messages from two people. So I hope everyone's good. But yeah, obviously the Belgrano was the largest single losses last year in the war, but the actions that came after that, with its sinking, led to the rest of the Argentine navy fleeing back to ports. Really, so had a massive effect on the actual thing in the whole campaign. It meant there wasn't one massive naval engagement, which could have ended up with the loss of more ships, etc. Oh, here's Danny.
Hello, hello.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Good. Just want to finish watching Peaky Blinders.
Don't tell me. I haven't watched it yet. So,
I can't tell you too much.
was it good though?
There's gonna be a film. I'll say that.
Oh, okay. Well, sometimes. Oh god. I think Steve just missed me. Oh, that's fair enough. Said it's not working on his phone because I asked him to join as well. No worries, John. You're welcome.
Was it on
How you doing?
So what's this thing?
Oh, well, StreamYard.
Yeah. Was that like?
Yeah. So it's basically I can use it to. It links up to my YouTube, so I'm live streaming on YouTube now. But it's just a way then I can add people to the stream. So.
Okay, doke.
So it's really simple. It's literally because now you because I joined in a live stream last week, and then it sort of the StreamYard recognized my account through Google, and then I can just start a live stream through there. So
different.
It's free. It's simple. It's really easy to use. And then as you know now, so I just sent you a link, and you can just jump in.
Oh, cool.
That's good. How you doing anyway, mate?
Busy, always busy. Actually, now actually join a few hours of the weekend before it's Monday again.
Yeah, true. What time are you working tomorrow then?
Oh no, luckily I'm off tomorrow and Monday and Tuesday, but I'm packing for the festival, so.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Oh, fair enough.
But logistics of moving tents and trailers and vehicles and filling up wagons with fuel and.
Crikey. What's numbers like for you then, bodies wise?
It's be hopefully about 6-7 of us, about 4 or 5 vehicles, but all depends upon what happens in the week. We never know.
Oh, fair enough.
There's fuel I've seen in some stations now is £1.97 a litre.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
when you're doing 20 to the gallon and you've got 120 miles to do, and it's 5 litres to the gallon, and
bloody hell. Yeah, very much so.
What's that then? The Falklands War is still a very big thing in South America. Many good Falklands questions, or?
We've had a fair few. I think if you go, I think you can somehow look at it. Should be able to anyway.
I can see the comments. I don't know if anyone else is still online at all, or.
We've still got 6 people, so viewing. So I think John's joined the chat after he went off. John Shanahan, because he was on live with me for about an hour, so that was good.
Oh, cool. Is there any other questions, specifically anything about the SAS and the Falklands? Give us a shout because I can try and help because I've got a bit of knowledge.
Just a bit, yeah.
I had a good. I'm changing your cuff in this. our squadron, we had a squadron dinner on Saturday night, and we
Okay,
had as our speaker.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I should have Catherine yet.
Oh wow.
So another one to add to
Very nice.
to the book. Though the book you do want to get is
No worries, Joe. Again, and everyone, if you've got some questions about obviously Falklands and specifically SAS, then Danny's your man, really. If you want to shoot.
And yes, yeah, I know one particular SAS trooper who carried a P-38 during the conflict. And you think I'm lying? Well, I can get you the bloke to tell you he did.
I do love that story.
Yeah, well, anyone who's listening who's interested, B Squadron, when they were going down south, they were literally given short notice call. A good friend of mine is a firearms license, so he actually went home and took out his own P-38 out of his locker because he didn't have enough Brownings to go around. He'd already gone off with the earlier squadron, so
yeah.
When he lost his SLR, because he's one of the ones who jumped from the C-130s into the sea to be picked up from the sea, he lost his equipment bag. So all he had in his pocket was his P-38. So he went ashore, typical airfix soldier style, with an P-38. One hand in the air, P-38. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Until he picked up an FNFAL and he thought, well, that's very nice. So he brought it back with him. Because there's a lot of problem, I know, with guys bringing back weapons, because where Canberra came back, there was a call in the docks saying anyone with weapons or helmets to throw them over the sides. I don't know if you heard that story.
I think so, yeah.
So basically, they were told customs and excise were going to be searching the ship and searching everyone's kit bags before they came back on for contraband and all shiny nice things. And so they say if they ever dredged the channel, they'd find so many FNFALs and the Argentinian K98s and stuff like that. But luckily, my contact had a firearms license, so he brought it back on his ticket. Heard about the attempted SAS raid on the mainland Argentina, but they had to abort and hike into Chile. Yes, that's one. There was also another planned mass raid, and it was to take 2 Hercs into one-way trip Hercs and actually do a mass raid, but that got canned at the last minute as well because they thought it'd be too much of a public outcry with 2 Hercs full of about 100-odd SAS blokes causing carnage on main airfields.
Nori, Kenny, have a good night, mate.
Hello, Danny. Oh, hello, John. He's so poor he can't afford central heating. That's the problem.
No, it is warm in there, obviously, because it's the quick one. But I thought I'd wear it for the authenticity of the Falklands stream. I've also got the headgear to go with it. So,
have you set off yet, John? Have you started your perilous journey across the no man's land to get here, or bandit country?
I think he's leaving Thursday night, I think, as far as I'm aware.
He's trying to lose it, but he keeps finding it again. That's anything he finds.
Oh, Jesus.
My weird question, did the British ever use the M1 Garand in the Falklands War? They didn't use the M1 Garand in the Falklands, but the Royal Marines were issued the M1 Garand in Korea.
And also multiple units using M1 carbines in Malaya as well, and Borneo.
Yes, as Steve's reminded me, Living History UK Festival, 9th and 10th of April at the Chiltern Open Air Museum. Don't go on their Facebook, go on ours, because they'll actually see some adverts about it. But buy your tickets from the link now. If you want to see our dinner, go on the Cone website. I'll have the one on the left. The one's got a nice leg on it.
Must say before you joined, Danny, we were advertising it quite well as well. So
Well, everyone should come. I think I've been hitting
that'd be
on TikTok. I've been hitting all the veterans channels and saying, "Are you coming?" Ricky Vett is coming. He's booked his hotel.
My dad's coming up as well, apparently. So,
yeah, but he wasn't in Afghan or Iraq, so I don't care.
No, who's in Northern Ireland?
Oh, well, yeah. See the Northern Ireland group. Oh, there isn't one. Oh.
Well, John's going to make an effort. John's coming in Northern Ireland kit, so.
They used the grounds in the Caribbean. Yes, the Royal Marine Commandos used them, mainly because they were supplied by the US Marine Corps for Korea. There's some fantastic pictures of basically, you have to really study the pictures to see they're actually wearing their green berets and Royal Marine cap badges because all their kit's American.
He's coming in a balaclava.
Not the ones they can actually sell in Ireland or the ones that actually T-Cozy's converted. That actually wouldn't shock me as a ground. We left those things everywhere. Well, it's your own fault for leaving them everywhere. That's the problem. You shouldn't just drop them and run away. That's the issue. No, yeah. Well, I know a lot of Garans and carbines have been coming back to America from the repurchase scheme after they've been equipped in the Philippines and stuff like that. So it was mainly just logistics because because Korea kicked off and they had to get the international Commonwealth Brigade there, so they re-equipped them from American stores because there's lots of it there. Anyway, it's meant to be about the Falklands. Let's not talk about Korea.
Must say, Danny, it does look like you've been sent from God with the light behind you.
Well, yeah, I have that aura.
So we like choir and music behind you.
I got my Halo ring somewhere. If I could be asked, I'll plug it in. Looking at all the kits you left in Afghanistan, well, we didn't leave anything there. The Americans did. We did our best to bring it back or destroy it. No, it's my grandparents' fault. We can't get them here, and they are either at CMP or you pay out the year. Yeah, well, that's a civilian marksmanship program. I know they've got shed loads. I'm surprised IMA haven't started buying them, and you can get them off of IMA, but I'm quite happy to say Camp Bastion was trashed before it was handed over.
Intentionally or unintentionally?
Well, those are silly things like you couldn't leave drums of cable everywhere because there was drums of electrical cable everywhere. And the rule was before it could be handed over, all wires had to be cut to 30 centimetre lengths. You couldn't hand over big drums of cable.
No worries, Tom. Take care, mate. Yeah, bloody hell.
Things like this, before the final pull-out void, we moved over. Things like smashing the bottom of oil drums and just letting it drain away and stuff. And once again, I, the peasants, wish I could get my hands on a real full auto lower that isn't a pre-86 registered machine gun. Yeah, I know. In 1986, your regs changed for machine guns. I know Dragon Man on YouTube. He's got a fantastic collection of pre-86 machine guns. But the problem is, too many people held them in their private collections for years, and now they're unregistered. It's a bit dodgy.
Just a bit, yeah. Oh dear. Is that the missus? Is it?
No, the wife's been watching Peaky Blinders now, so.
Oh dear. Try and bring up a question from Mel you might be able to answer.
Okay. Question. Boots Combat High. Yeah, they didn't come out.
This one popped up earlier.
I read somewhere that the Canadian Airborne Regiment, which was an Arctic trained, was placed on standby for possible deployment. Might be. I don't believe that's true. I know the Americans offered aircraft carrier group, but it wasn't taken up.
Let's go.
But it was interesting. I was speaking to a chap at the dinner the other night talking about the Falklands, obviously being the 40th anniversary and all that.
Yeah.
And every man and his dog was volunteering to go down south. Him and his wife both volunteered to go down south. They didn't get to go, but there's a lot of rumors about they only had 3 days to prepare the task force.
Yeah.
They knew it was going to happen. Things had already been moved into place.
Yeah.
To get anything going. If you're interested in Falklands history in the UK, the Hat Green Nuclear Bunker have the radio set that Maggie Thatcher used to talk to the sub, which we slept next to. So
very comfortably as well. Actually, it gets nice and warm in there.
You going again this year or not bothering?
It's the weekend after.
Yeah, I'm working, so I'm not going.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'd like to, but I think I'm. Actually, am I working?
I'm going to be too tired out from the Living History UK Festival because that actually made the festival to go. 9th and 10th of April at the Chiltern Open Air Museum. Get your tickets now online, limited availability.
You can see as amazing acts like myself or Danny, or
if you hang around long enough, the cheeky China.
What happens in there stays in there.
Okay, SBS question. Do you think they operated better in the conditions than the SAS? Very interesting one. I think both regiments did the best they could in the situation. Again, it's all the squadrons that deployed, it was very different campaign to what they had expected. The kit wasn't the best. Mountain Troop did it fantastically. The guy, again, for example, the Sea King that went down, that was not planned for, but the boys did fantastically. They didn't have the kit, they didn't have logistics. I think they did the best they could, really. Americans getting the USS Guam ready to loan to Bruce in case they lost a carrier. We suspected as much. I can't remember which one it was. Interesting one as well. You said about kit as well for the Falklands. I know the SAS especially, they didn't have enough waterproof jackets.
Yeah.
So they actually went into Hereford. There used to be an army surplus in Hereford. When I was a young cadet, I went there to buy kit, and it was a Jesse's army surplus. Yeah. And they literally went and bought every size of Peter Storm jacket they could get their hands on. You know, the old Peter Storm Spacamax.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that now. Special educational needs jackets. But they used to be known in. There's
helmets that go with them.
Yeah, they used to be known in the UK as a crisp packet. You walk around and you scratch like an old crisp packet, or chips. But they used to also have the nickname of the Spacamac because you look like you come from a special day release school. Jake's trying to contain himself now.
I like that.
You heard that before?
No, I've never heard that before. No.
Oh, that's always known as, because you look like you're on day release from a special school. They of course the regiment bought every size they could get hold of, and of course half of them were wrestling like crisp packets as they were going everywhere. So a lot of them ditched them or wore them underneath the smocks because they were terrible.
Yeah.
Those have to be crewed mostly by American volunteers. Yeah, it might have been. They might have taken them on contracts like the Fleet Auxiliaries, or even the NAFI crew. A good example of that there was a George was it? NAFI crew who's ex-Devons. Oh, can you remember? Give me a second. I've got a picture of his medal group somewhere.
I think you can share pictures as well.
I don't show all my pictures off.
Not the ones in the special folder.
Not the jacket folder.
The jacket folder or the Jack It folder?
No, I had Jack on Saturday. No, I'll try and find it now. Here we go. Yeah, it was sold at auction. I got the auction catalogue. Those of you who are American tuners will know the PX stores, civilian contractors. We in the UK have a thing called NAFI, which is the Navy Army Air Forces Institute. Most NAFIs will have an EFI, which is the Expeditionary Forces Institute, which is, tea, coffee, and all the good stuff at home. But they're normally crewed by civilians. Now, the NAFI, I can't remember what ship this was now. What's he on? He was HMS Ardent. Now, this chap was running the NAFI shop on the ship. So cigarettes, bottles of beer, or letters home and that stuff. But he'd actually been in the Devon and Dorset's regiment. And he actually, when they went down south, all the civilians who went down south couldn't go down south as civilians because you can't put civilians in a war zone. So all those who volunteered were automatically made up to petty officers in the Navy under a war commission, shall we say.
Yeah.
Well, this chap obviously been in Devon and Dorset, and he said, "Well, I'm a bit more handy than the normal shelf stacker in a NAFI. I can help." When HMS Ardent was in Bomb Alley and was getting strafed during the bomb alleys, he actually took one of the jimpies out of the armory, put it on the railings, and was shooting down. He shot down a Skyhawk with a jimpy. And I remember this story because he's just a bloke. He'd left the army years ago, but still qualified on the jimpy. Not qualified. He's qualified, gone well out of date, but he still knew how to operate it. But his medal group came up for sale. He'd been awarded the Northern Ireland General Service Medal with Bar Northern Ireland as a Lance Corporal in the Devon and Dorsets. His South Atlantic Medal is named as a Petty Officer, Emergency Commission, Ardent, and he was awarded the Distinguished Service Medal as a Petty Officer.
Wow!
I always said it'd be funny if his Distinguished Service Medal had been awarded to him as a NAFI, but
DC NAFI and Bar
NAFI for shooting down. I'll read a little quote here. We just got to Ascension Island, and when I got up to deck to get some fresh air, I saw a petty officer sitting on the deck with a manual, trying to work out how to use a general-purpose machine gun. So I said to him, the good old Jimpy. He said, "Oh, you know about it?" "Yes, I was a bit instructor in the army." He said, "Oh, well, you can teach the rest of us." I'd been made a petty officer in the Royal Navy for my NAFI post. Where's his citation? It's a cracking citation. Yes, I've actually seen the South Atlantic Medal in a World War II group, and he'd been a ship on the. I think he'd been on Canberra. He was a mess hand at Canberra, so he'd served in the Atlantic convoys during World War II, but was a civilian on the ships. It's what the auction house said. I'm sure there would be many stories of heroism to come out of it, but of them all, I remain the most impressed by the conduct of John Leake, who manned a machine gun on HMS Ardent. He was not really in the Navy, but as we say, of all one company, the captain and the NAFI man were all in it together. The outstanding Falklands War Distinguished Service Medal Group of 3 awarded to Petty Officer John Leake, Royal Navy, formerly Devon and Dorset Regiment, an experienced Army machine gunner, had elected to sign on to the Royal Navy from a civilian NAFI in order where he could adhere to the Geneva Convention and accompany the ship HMS Ardent to an active service to the Falklands. Having left the army 10 years previously, extraordinarily and much celebrated at the time, on the 21st of May 1982, during the so-called Battle of Bomb Alley, he found himself manning a machine gun on the decks of HMS Ardent during successive raids of Argentinian Skyhawks, one of which was later confirmed shot down by him prior to the eventual sinking of the ship for the loss of 22 lives.
Jesus.
I've read about the same situation in the Gulf. The NAFI guys were all acting corporals. Yeah, it's Geneva Convention. If they wanted to be there, they had to. There was a commando from the Falklands who had just left, grabbed a shotgun. Yes, if you've watched Ungentlemanly Act, it's reenacted in that film. He'd left the Royal Marines. I don't think he'd been in the Falkland Defence Force, but he'd been in the Royal Marines, gone out to Falklands to farm. Of course, when the RGs turned up on their patch, he grabbed his green beret and went down to Falkland's house and said he got a spare SLR. So, but interesting when the surrender came, I believe he went with the what do you call it? 1081, was it 1081 or 1082? Royal Marine Detachment, Falklands.
I can't actually remember actually now.
I think it was. I don't remember what the attachment number was now. Says it'll annoy me otherwise. Now, have you ever seen in the Argentinian museums the weapons captured off the Falkland Defence Force?
No.
The Falkland Defence Force is a privately funded militia. It's not really
Yeah.
8-9 something like that. I'll have to look now. It's going to annoy me otherwise. The Falkland Defence Force is basically like a militia unit. It's not territorial army.
Yeah.
8901. That's the one. I'm thinking of something else. 8901 was the Royal Marines detachment on the Falklands who've been based there since 1966. Falkland Defence Force was a militia unit. It was really strange because it was in the All Back for the Territorial Army, but it wasn't Territorial Army.
Yeah.
They were privately funded by the governor, privately equipped by the governor, so you see them with all sorts of kit. But yeah, the Argentinians captured all their armory and took it back to back to the mainland as a big celebration. Big sombreros, big party, and including the weapons were several number 4s, Bren's, a Lewis gun, a Vickers, and they're all on display in the Argentinian War Museum. But yeah, it's been quite impressive. I think if the Falkland Defence Force had put up a fight and brought out the Vickers, because I think even Richard Knight would have been Richard Knight. No, who am I thinking of?
Do you mean Richard Fisher?
Oh, that's close enough. Richard Fisher. Last operational use, the Falklands.
So if they sort of set up in Stanley Airport, like defending the end, that would have been amazing. Like that.
It'd be like the wild geese, you know what I mean? Setting them just
yeah. Defending the Dakota at the corner of the airfield.
Yeah, the Ukrainians are using anything to get hold of. There's a cracking bit of footage actually in Kiev. They've dug out obviously anything from the museums that fires live. But one thing they did drag out was one of the road blocks, the hedgehogs.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, still with a plaque on it saying this was used in World War II.
there's an amazing photo with it's a guy setting up a twin Maxim mount on this Jeep, but they've like welded like a red dot sight to the top of the cover, like of this Maxim. It's just ridiculous. Oh dear Lord.
Anyone else have a cat, Andy?
I don't know. Welcome to the stream where we're swimming in pussy.
This is TikTok and family friendly.
He gives a shit.
Oh. Getting comfortable now. It's like a parrot but cheaper. Have we scared everyone off, have we?
I don't know. Well, we've got 3, apparently. We've got 3. I think Todd's still in and maybe John. I think Joe's in as well.
We've killed 4 off. Did they have a ship's cat in the Falklands? Yes. No. It was the 70s. They stopped allowing animals on ships.
Well, at least it's not like the Russian 2nd Pacific Squadron, who have you heard about the story about the 2nd Pacific Squadron?
No.
So during the Russo-Japanese War, 1904-5, bulk of the the Russian Pacific Fleet was bottled up in Port Arthur. So the Russian Baltic Fleet was sent to basically relieve the Pacific Fleet. So they had to go the long way round, going round the Cape of Good Hope, etc., and all that sort of stuff. It's been quoted as being called the Voyage of the Damned. I'll send you a link to a really good video on it, actually. Basically, from several people on the ships going insane. The fleet repair ship constantly saying it's seeing Japanese torpedo boats everywhere, even in like the North Atlantic. To the point where they Russia almost went to war with the UK because they fired on a fishing fleet in the North Sea, to where when with from the Channel till beyond the Mediterranean, they were being overwatched by the entirety of the Royal Navy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
The famous picture of the Commandos at Government House. Oh, John Shanahan's still here. The famous picture of the Commandos at Government House with the flag when Stanley was retaken. They were the same lot that had been there. Yeah, because the Royal Navy, well, basically the party 10901, as we've been kind of reminded, all of them to a man re-volunteered to go back down south again. So literally, they got back, they got released under the convention, but then they just turned around and said, "Well, we'll sign up again. we'll get around the legalities. Go away." But again, they're perfect examples of men who can they know they can lead parties. They know the back roads to everything. They'd already been there.
Yeah, exactly.
Though interestingly, I have to speak till 11, and I'm going to have to skedoodle at 11.
Yeah, no,
I got donated a set of webbing. It's in the museum at the moment. A set of £58 webbing that was used by the SES in the Falklands.
Oh yeah,
an SES man in the Falklands. Standard 58. Nothing, no fancy, normal belt, normal utility pouches. 40 American Alice water bottle pouches.
Okay, yeah.
Brown 58 pattern water bottles.
Oh, the brown ones, yeah.
And there's two of them in there, and there's a mixture match of pouches on the back. But one day I'll get around to doing another SES display where it's appreciated, maybe.
I really enjoyed it.
I'm not putting a dark corner where nothing can be seen.
Yeah, true.
I've got the hat of the commander of the Santa Fe. Oh,
exactly.
We're not really interested. Oh, no. But here's some East German rubbish. There's tons of it.
You had some bloody cool stuff on that table.
Well, a lot of that was signed out of the museum on camp and then had to be taken back again.
I've forgotten the designation for it. The Enfield sniper.
The L42.
Yeah, the L42. What's that?
I sold that one on.
I love that. It was lovely.
Yeah, 2.5 I got for it, so I was all right.
That's all right. Jesus Christ.
Not bad when I built it, yeah.
Bloody hell.
I'm here. Were they drinking salt water? I don't know. I don't know who's drinking salt water.
I think John is, by that question.
No, don't drink the water. Your Irish magic water.
It's been blessed by the Mother Superior.
I think other SES bits kicking around. I'd like to do another SES in the Falklands display. We might get around to it at some point. But
I think that'd be really, really good. It'd be really good.
Yeah, so it's like the problem I got with the festival. I'm putting some table displays together, but a lot of the stuff I've got is small kit, badges, paperwork. I'm like, how to display it, how to do it properly.
You just got to make sure people don't come over asking how much.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is it you want to make it look like a display, or do you want to make it look like a stall? That's a very awkward.
Yeah.
It's things like, I dug one of those. I've got 1 minute left. 1 minute warning. I dug out one of those to go on the display.
Oh, okay.
Now, anyone who's ex-forces who's been deployed will know what one of those is. I found it in my drawer, but I'm going to put that on my display because if you're deployed overseas, you got issued one of these, and that's your Paradigm account card. And what you did is you typed in that number, and then you could dial your number for home on the payphones. But you got like 30 minutes a week or something, but you always got issued a Paradigm card for your minutes a week. So, but that's something that to me, there you go. Anyone who wants to see it, that's going to go on my Afghan Iraq display because everyone who was deployed will know these.
Yeah, well, that's wicked.
I could bring you some fun spots here north. Yes, well, there's some stories been told about certain places. Yeah, I can't put on. Yeah, but I got fantastic pictures. 1 minute warning. 1 minute warning. I got some fantastic pictures of when the regiment went over and did wearing their berries tour.
Mm.
Because their first tour they did it in berets.
Oh God.
There's a bit of shock and awe.
Yeah.
Because they went round and they were doing street patrols in their pinkies.
Bloody hell.
Painted in bronze. I think I got photographs. I got some photographs I can send you. Some of them I can't. But they did patrols driving the pinkies round Northern Ireland. They were painted in bronze green, and they did the patrols and that. So I was asking a good friend of mine, say, driving and stuff like, how did you deal with driving open roads and stuff? He said, well, he's the only person who ever drove a pinky in the Dauphin, in Borneo, and Northern Ireland. And Northwest Europe, but that didn't really count. There was only a bit of fun. Borneo, they took the pinkies through Borneo, and they had to cut roads to get them through. But
yeah.
Here's one for you. You can't find a picture of it, but he did do it. He actually got a World War II lightweight gas mask. You know the lightweight gas mask?
Yeah.
Cut the bottom off and just used the top as goggles.
Oh, I remember you telling me about this actually now.
Mm.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
But if you did that, somebody say you were wrong.
Yeah. Did you ever go, oh no, you've ruined it? It's like, well, it was done by this bloke.
And he's 77 and still can remember everything. Even down to the smallest details. Anyway, I have to skedoodle because it's now.
No worries, mate.
I'm on now noise control hour, so.
I'll probably wrap up the stream. I've gone on a little bit longer than I was going, but that's fine.
No, all good.
Okay.
Next time, don't do it when Peaky Blinders is on.
Well, it's when John was free as well. That was the thing.
Well, John should be watching Peaky Blinders.
He did talk about that at the start. He's made an exception, so I was lucky. I was like, okay.
He's gone to watch it now.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah. Right.
I better go, and cheers for having me on.
Yeah, that's right. No, you're welcome, mate. Well, thanks so much, guys, for watching. Anyway, for the guys who are still here, mostly John and I think Todd as well. So, right, we'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.